This is going to be a quick video explaining how I created these patterns from 2-color hdpe using my CNC machine. These patterns were created in response to some artwork by Bridget Riley which related to my art project on waves. The main focus of this video is going to be the process of CNC machining and the workflow, and how you go from a digital computer model to a physical object in real life, and I'm going to try and explain each of those steps to try and help you understand how much work and effort is required to actually get the CNC machine to cut out the correct shape from the correct material using the correct end mills. In my workshop I've got two different CNC machines. The first CNC machine that I got is a homemade CNC machine that's made from a kit that Inventables sent me a while ago, and since then I've done lots of upgrades to it, and it now runs on industrial software, and it's great for very long, complicated CNC machine jobs on large objects. The other CNC machine I've got is a desktop CNC machine also sent to me by Inventables, and this one's called a carve machine, and it's much more accurate, and it's made for carving more detailed engravings and things like that. It runs off much more basic software, and it's much better for basic engraving and just doing things quickly, and that's the machine I'm going to be using for this quick project. So the first question is, what is a CNC machine? CNC stands for Computer Numerical Control, and the CNC machine router is effectively the reverse of a 3D printer, where a 3D printer works by additive modelling, by adding plastic to a material and then building up a model over time. A CNC machine works in the opposite way by removing material from the model and uncovering the model from within whatever material, and this in a way makes it much more versatile than 3D printing, because you're not constrained by whatever plastic you can extrude. You can literally carve the machine on any material that it can cut, and that's very useful. I'd say the first step in carving something out with a CNC machine is going to be choosing the correct end mill. The end mill is the cutter that the machine uses to remove the material, and there's loads of different shapes and sizes of end mills depending on what you want the machine to do. It's fed into the spindle of the CNC machine. It's where the machine actually interacts with the material that it's cutting. The end mill is effectively a very sharp knife on a helix, and these end mills are made from tungsten carbide since it's very hard, much harder than steel, and it won't blunten over time. Another thing that's important to take into account is the diameter of the end mill. For this small CNC machine, the largest end mills that you can use on it are 1/8 inch end mills, and you can use 1/32 inch end mills for really small detailed work. Obviously the smaller the diameter of the end mill, the more detailed and small carvings you can get. However, that end mill carves out less material per pass, so it's going to take a longer time. These are the two end mills I'm going to be using for this carving today, since I'm cutting out hdpe, which is a very soft thermo-softening plastic, and as this plastic heats up it melts, so I want there to be very little friction while cutting, so these end mills are very new and very sharp. The first end mill is going to be a 1/8 inch 1-flute end mill, which is literally like a razor, it's so sharp. Then the second end mill is going to be a 2-flute 1/16 inch end mill. So this is the material that I'm going to be carving. It's called 2-color hdpe since on the surface it's black and then below it's white, and this means that the areas that I carve out are going to be white and the areas that I leave are going to be black, and that's going to give me the nice contrast that I'm looking for. I then had to find the graphics that I wanted to carve out, and I just went on Google and looked for black and white images that were visually similar to Bridget Riley's work just by using Google image search, and I found these two. The software that the Carve CNC machine runs from is an online software called Easel, and this allows me to import the photos and actually turn them into a 3D model, which is quite nice. From there I can use the recommended cutting speed for hdpe and the recommended depth of cut for hdpe, and that's going to set the cutting speed of the end mills and the spindle RPM to the correct parameters so that it cuts cleanly without overloading the machine, and it doesn't cut too slowly so it doesn't take too much amount of time. And then once it's done the roughing pass with the 1/8 inch end mill, it's then going to go on to a finishing pass with the 1/16 inch end mill. I then clamp the material into the CNC machine using the built-in clamps, and this holds it down to the bed so that it won't move while it's being cut. I can then load in the end mill, and the machine will automatically level the Z axis so it knows how long the end mill is and it knows how deep that it's cutting. Then the machine will begin to cut out the shape, and once it's cut out the shape I also cut a square all the way around the outside of the profile so that it cuts out from the sheet of material. This 2-color hdpe is quite expensive and it's got two sides to it, so I thought I'd carve a pattern on each side. This is what the piece looked like once it came off the machine, and as you can see, some of the edges are a little bit ragged, and that will be cleaned up if I used another slower end mill to do another finishing pass, or if I used an end mill with down cut flutes instead of up cut flutes. So this was a very basic CNC machine project, and my next video is going to be documenting how to create these much more complicated 3D wave geometries on a CNC machine using ball nose end mills and complicated 3D toolpaths in much more industrial software on my bigger CNC machine.